Östersund is located in the middle of Sweden, in the middle of Scandinavia, in the northern part of Europe.
Surnommée le centre de la Suède, la ville d'Östersund est considérée comme un lieu unique. Son histoire est intimement liée à la présence des Vikings, qui ont occupé la région il y a 1000 ans. Encore aujourd'hui, c'est la seule grande ville suédoise qui n'est pas située au bord de la mer. Sa position géographique permet aux visiteurs d'apprécier des paysages d'une grande beauté, très différents du reste du pays.
A very wild region with very much mountains, snowy mountains, and it's more about the outdoor life.
It's called the winter town, so most of the events that happen in this town is during the winter. There are generally events out on the lake because it's frozen, so you go out on the ice and you can go like hockey, both skating and skiing, cross-country skiing.
Skiing, everyone knows skiing. Skiing has a good reputation. It's good to be famous for good skiing.
Mais quelle que soit la saison, un étrange mystère occupe les esprits des résidents d'Östersund depuis maintenant 4 siècles. Un mystère aussi impénétrable que la masse d'eau qui l'abrite.
Östersund is a town located by a lake called Storsie. It's a huge lake, the 5th largest in Sweden, but it has more water than some of the other bigger ones because of the depth of the lake.
This is a very big lake. Part of it is very deep, and it's dark water. You just have to go 1 or 2 meters under surface, and it's getting really dark, and at the bottom it's black.
L'origine de cette grande étendue d'eau remonte à la fin de la dernière ère glaciaire, il y a 9000 ans. Elle s'étend sur 464 km² et sa profondeur atteint jusqu'à 74 mètres. Le mystère qui lui est attribué amène certains à affirmer qu'il est tout à fait plausible qu'une telle masse d'eau puisse fournir un habitat propice à une espèce animale géante. Cette croyance ancestrale donne un caractère très particulier à l'endroit. Les légendes populaires des siècles derniers et les récits de témoins oculaires des récentes années suggèrent qu'une créature inconnue des scientifiques habite le lac Storsie. On pense même que si la science pouvait prouver son existence, l'humanité en serait transformée.
It's a huge animal. It's not something that is normal, that would exist in the lake, in any lake. This is huge.
Oh, there!
Les témoignages et découvertes de phénomènes étranges sont si nombreux que très peu osent écarter la possibilité qu'une créature anormale puisse habiter le lac Storsie. Et chaque habitant a sa théorie sur l'allure de la bête.
I would describe the Great Lake monster as somewhat snake-like. It seems to be a long animal that just goes up and down in the water.
Like this. It moves very, very fast. It's about more than 10 meters and it's black, gray, shifting.
Humps. And probably it has a head that looks like a dog or maybe a horse.
Almost like something between a snake and a dragon.
Maybe a cousin to some plesiosaur type of animal.
From the dinosaur times, with a long neck and a small head and a big body.
I saw something over the surface I can't explain. Big, black, beautiful, in the same time scaring. So, of course, it is something, but what it is, we don't know actually.
Le lac Storsen, le 5e plus grand de Suède, n'a pas beaucoup changé depuis la dernière époque glaciaire. Sauf pour quelques mois en été, il demeure recouvert à l'année d'une épaisse couche de glace. À la saison chaude, il est fréquenté par les plaisanciers et les pêcheurs. Presque tous les habitants d'Östersund, et même de la Suède en entier, supposent qu'une créature mystérieuse habite sous la surface du lac.
People think about it and talk about it, not every day, but absolutely every summer, because every summer someone sees it and it's in the newspaper that someone saw it. So I would say it's like a conversation piece every year. It's always there.
Yeah, I think it's very well known here in this region. Most people know someone that have seen it or talks about it. And it's the only lake monster we have in Sweden, so it's well known in Sweden too.
Mostly it's maybe 1 or 2 articles in the newspaper every year about people have seen the monster. And of course, everyone doesn't go to the press to tell about their observations. So I would say maybe there are around 5 or 10 people every year who claim to have seen the monster, but not everyone is so open about it.
Est-ce pour alléger le mystère que les Suédois lui ont donné un nom? En anglais, la bête est simplement baptisée Storsie. Mais les Suédois, eux, le surnomment d'après l'image qu'ils s'en font.
Stor, sjö, odjuret. It's 3 words. Stor for big, sjö for lake, and odjur for a beast.
My name is Göte Norlander. I saw this Great Lake monster at 1982. Ja, jag behövde ett specialverktyg för jag höll på att mekade hemma då och for ner till min verkstad och där träffade jag min hyresvärd som äger huset som jag hyrde lokalen i. Vi pratade och tittade lite grann efter stranden då, lite längre ifrån oss. 75-80 meter ifrån oss så ser vi plötsligt någonting som ligger flytande vid stranden, strax intill stranden. Och det var som en timmerstock som var lite räfflad, om vi säger så. Lite knulig, som vi säger i Sverige. Lite ojämn. Nåväl, det gick en liten stund så tittade vi lite längre utåt och då kommer plötsligt upp en båge ur vattnet. Den här bågen var 4-5 meter lång. Det var 60-70 centimeter hög och den var mörkgrå, nästan mot svart med guldbruna stick i då. Guldbruna punkter. Och då är den här bågen i vattnet då. Nu vart vi väldigt upphetsade, både Viktor och jag, så att, men vad var det där? Så då sa jag till Viktor att, men nu du minsann Viktor, nu såg vi allt storsjöodjuret. Nej, det här pratar vi inte så mycket om, säger han då. Så då höll vi tyst i 3-4 år då, men sen så tyckte vi det var lika bra att prata om och berätta om det här, för det var en verkligt spännande upplevelse.
I saw Storsjöodjuret, the Great Lake Monster, in 1977 on August the 10th. I was 16 years old and I was on my way home on my bicycle. And I was looking down because I wanted to see if there was coming a car. So I was doing like this and there was no car, but just for a split 2 seconds I managed to see something huge rise in the water down there. It was black and it came up like this, and the size of a Volkswagen, and black in the water. So I thought, what was that? to the left of me, I had 3 gentlemen aged 40 to 50, and they were very upset, and they were talking loudly and pointing and like this. And I realized then, well, I've probably seen what they call Storsie. I just had a glimpse of it, but as any kid would have done, I went down to the lake again. And then I had the second sighting.
40 minutes plus tard, Michael marche sur le rivage et aperçoit la créature d'encore plus près. Elle se trouve cette fois à moins de 10 mètres devant lui. Ses souvenirs sont encore très précis, 35 ans plus tard.
I could see it was like 2 to 3 meters long, above the surface like this much. And it swam not like this or like this, but straight forward, like a boat turned upside down, which is a very common description of this animal that many people have seen, that you find again and again in articles. The skin of the animal was dark, or sort of black, I think, and it reminded me of whale skin, sort of. It had no hair or anything like that. And the speed of it was, if you jog like this, that was the speed. So I walked in a similar pace and for some distance, and I got this idea, and I'm not proud of it, but I'm not going to lie about it. I thought I wanted to see more than this. I wanted to see the head. So I picked up a small rock like this, and I figured that if I hit it on the back, it might look up. That was the thinking of a 16-year-old. And I threw the stone.
Mais il rate sa cible. Pendant plusieurs minutes, Michael observe les mouvements de la bête toujours à la surface, tandis qu'elle s'éloigne de la rive.
And then a boat was approaching from beneath the bridges, and then it dove. I was not afraid when I saw it. I was safe on land, but I wouldn't have been wanting to be in a boat at that moment. I can tell you that.
La plupart des observations de phénomènes étranges sur le lac Storsie sont rapportées par des riverains. Mais il arrive que les témoins se trouvent sur l'eau. L'expérience prend alors une toute autre ampleur.
My name is Evert Festin. I have seen the Great Lake monster from about 3-4 meters distance. En sen kväll i juli 1994 var jag och min fru ute och uttrade. På den som är sträckt så går det på en fisk och jag börjar på att dra in den. Och när jag kanske var halvvägs in med fisken så går det på någonting på linan som går rakt ner i vattnet. Och då åker båten baklänges. Och det som drog båten då var alltså starkare än motorn. Och då släppte jag den första linan och koncentrerade mig på den här där det var någonting stort som var på. Och jag hade en känsla av att jag halade mig efter linan, inte att jag drog in. Sen i nästa stund, det som kommer upp är större, längre än båten. Och båten är 4,30 meter lång. Och det första intrycket var att det var en lång ko som låg i vattnet, men jag såg aldrig något huvud på den. Och det var mörkt på ena sidan och det var ljus på den andra. Och på den ljusa sidan då så ser jag 2 liksom spröt som rör sig sakta mot varandra. De är ungefär 1 meter långa. Och det var som en andningsrörelse. Och då är det här djuret bara någon meter bakom propellern. Och vi var i chock och jag trodde aldrig vi skulle överleva om det kom närmare. Jag trodde vi skulle kantra. Och jag vet inte hur länge vi satt där i båten, men det som hände det var att det ryckte till i linan och lekanet uppe vid huvudlinan gick sönder. Och så det som var på kroken åkte iväg med med wobblen och lina. Och vi såg hur det bubblade på vattnet när det sjönk ner. Vi var i en chock. And I don't know how long time we waited sitting there.
Voulant éviter de nuire à sa carrière, Everett a attendu jusqu'à sa retraite avant de révéler publiquement son expérience. Si l'on en croit son récit, lui et sa femme ont été les témoins à s'être retrouvés le plus près de la créature. C'est d'ailleurs la dernière fois que l'épouse d'Everett s'est aventurée sur le lac. L'histoire du Great Lake Monster, ou Storsie, remonte à très loin dans l'histoire de la Suède. L'un des plus anciens témoignages à faire mention de son existence est cette stèle datant du Moyen Âge.
During the Viking Age, Östersund wasn't founded, so the center of this part was the island in the lake called Frösön, and that's where we have all the remains from the Viking Age, the graves. We have the runic stone. That's the only one in this area. It was carved some time between 1050 1070, we think.
On trouve plusieurs stèles en Scandinavie, lesquelles rappellent des batailles épiques ou des personnages légendaires qui ont marqué l'histoire de la péninsule. La stèle d'Östersund commémore un point tournant dans le développement de la région.
The runestone tells the story about who built the bridge between Frösön Island and what is now Östersund, and also about the Christianization of these lands, which took place around that time.
Ce qui intrigue certains, ce sont plutôt les gravures que présente le monument.
The picture of the dragon itself, as the only dragon depicted on a runestone in Scandinavia, could mean something, we don't know. Could be related to some ancient Viking folklore or something like that, which is very interesting.
Et si une image peut valoir 1000 mots, dans ce cas-ci, on peut dire qu'elle vaut 1000 interrogations. Au XVIIe siècle, une première évocation d'un monstre marin dans le lac Storsund apparaît dans les annales religieuses. La bête entre alors dans le folklore local.
A vicar in the 1650s, I think, was the first person to write something about it.
Sans le savoir, le vicaire donne alors naissance à une légende qui sèmera la crainte pendant des siècles.
And it was two trolls who was cooking near the sea. And suddenly it was a big bang. And a cat was jumping up from the cooking and just jumped down to the Great Lake. Then we know that people talk about this for more than 400 years ago.
250 ans plus tard, la bête sort brutalement de l'univers des contes et légendes pour faire une apparition remarquée à la surface du lac devant un notable de la région.
In 1894, our member of parliament, Jöns Bromé, claimed he had seen the monster along with some of his friends. And they decided to pursue it. So they took some guns and some boats trying to catch the animal, but it was going too fast and it just disappeared down to the depths. And he actually told the press that he had seen the animal. And after that we can see the rising of the observations of the animal, because of course, if a person with that high ranking in the society says he has seen the Great Lake Monster, it must exist.
That is probably the one time that had a real window open when people were fearless. They talked about it. And we have hundreds and hundreds of witness reports in the archives.
Les médias de l'époque s'emparent de l'histoire et Storsie fait bientôt l'objet d'une imposante expédition.
It was a very interesting expedition, and even the Swedish king gave the company organization money because it was very interesting in what is it under the surface.
Prêts à tout pour parvenir à leur fin, les chasseurs partent avec un véritable arsenal d'instruments tout aussi impressionnants les uns que les autres, des artefacts aujourd'hui exposés au musée Jämtli d'Östersund.
In front of you, you have the trap that we used to trying to catch the monster in 1894. We put a pig in it and put it by the lake in hopes to get the monster into it. Here you also can see some of the other things we used to try to catch the monster. Here we have the harpoon, and they made a big hole in the ice. And a man stood by the hole with his harpoon, and hopefully he would see the monster, and then he could harpoon it. But the monster never showed itself, so it was not successful.
As a deputy director of Jämtli, it's important for us to show the story about the monster and the stories about all the people who have seen the monster, because it's such a big and important story of the region. People have been seeing this monster for 400 years. We can't just wipe that out of our history. It's an important part. So we couldn't really build a museum without it.
Le musée Jämtli d'Östersund documente l'histoire de Storsie et ses nombreuses présumées apparitions autour du lac depuis les années 1800.
This is actually an embryo of the Great Lake monster. It was given to the museum on April 1st, 1986.
Cet embryon aurait été trouvé sur la rive du lac en 1984.
But it's very difficult to see if it's actually the Great Lake monster or if it's an embryo of something else. But the fun part is that it was given on April the 1st, Fool's Day. This is the map of the observation of the Great Lake monster, and as you can see, the most observations are around Östersund, Frösön.
Une grande partie des apparitions ont en effet été enregistrées autour de l'île de Frösön, tout près du site où, 1000 ans plus tôt, la fameuse stèle a été érigée.
This is actually not updated for the last 20 years, but it's still the same pattern today. So we see the monster where the people live. That's where the most sightings are.
We have maybe 5 to 10 witnesses or stories every year in local media. And if you think that maybe 1 out of every 10 that see something tell the press, well, then we're talking about thousands of witnesses.
Mais parmi les possibles milliers de témoins, plusieurs ne souhaitent pas partager publiquement leur expérience. Une association a donc été créée pour leur permettre de se confier en toute intimité.
This is how I think it is. Och flera har sett liksom en stock som ligger. Och de har sett att det är någonting ovanför vattenytan. De tror att det är en sten eller någonting.
Among people who have witnessed this, there's this association called Föreningen Storsie. They have meetings on a yearly basis. They move from town to town around the lake like this. Every year new witnesses come forward at those meetings. Usually there's about 80 to 100 people.
So they have a meeting every summer, and then they can talk together about what they have seen.
And it's serious.
Everett Festin est un membre influent de l'association des Amis de Storsie, créée en 1990. On compte actuellement 90 membres inscrits qui se réunissent quelques fois par année pour échanger leurs expériences.
Så det var ju det här som var lite konstigt.
Ja, det är så konstigt.
Men har du sett någon fisk som har ögonbryn?
Nej,
det är inte
nej,
jag har
inte
aldrig
jag.
sett det förut.
Everett s'étant lui-même obligé au silence pendant des décennies, il dit avoir compris l'importance de créer un espace dans lequel tous peuvent s'exprimer en toute confiance. C'est peut-être de cette façon, selon lui, qu'on en viendra un jour à percer le mystère du lac Storsön.
It can be up to 5,000 to 6,000 people have seen it, but Many of them don't talk. And every evening we have this, there come new witnesses.
Some people come along and they say, well, I saw this in 1945, I've kept secret, I haven't talked about it. But you hear all these stories. And then you start to think, how many people have seen this? Must be quite a number of them.
Chaque témoignage rapporté à l'association est consigné. On note tous les détails sur les circonstances des apparitions. Les données sont examinées, comparées et mesurées.
Och jag har rapporter då på att det var en som såg 3 stycken som simmade bredvid varandra.
I can't say that I saw the same animal twice or if it was 2 different individuals. The first I saw was obviously huge. The second was a little bit, not quite as big as I would have envisaged after the first. But you know, there's bound to be a family of sorts in the lake, a population of them, that maybe they can communicate some way.
Everybody say the Great Lake Monster or Storsjöodjur 1. I would rather say Storsjöodjur 1, the Great Lake Monsters, because I don't think that there is just one animal monster or whatever it is. It has to be more of them, because we can go back 1,000 years from now, and I don't think that the monster or whatever it could be that old.
It's very interesting that when the Ice Age came to a halt, new lakes were created that was connected to the sea. And I believe that whatever this is, it has to be a family of something that once existed in the sea that now lives in this lake. Something that we thought was perhaps extinct. Could be some type of relative to maybe plesiosaurs or something. I don't know, but a lot of people have seen the long neck and what I saw, how could that swim like that if it didn't have fins and maybe some sort of a tail helping it to move along?
It should be most natural to have that it would be a fish at least, because if it would be a mammal, then where does it live during the winter? I mean, where to get some air and breathe? So that's why I think it should be a fish.
Some divers have seen some big heels. It could be the both. Big fishes, and it could be something that we have not find out what it is at the moment.
Alla de här då som är en vacker dag så är det någon som får en riktig närbild.
My name is Yvonne Lundin, and I'm a cryptozoologist. Cryptozoology is about animals that are not proven existing. Crypto stands for hidden, and zoology is, well, animal kingdom. I don't consider myself as a believer. Because it's non-scientific to be believing in things. It's better to keep an open mind. And I have quite an open mind about there being something in the lake. I just don't know what.
L'approche d'Yvonne sur le mystère Storsie pourrait être considérée comme plutôt rationnelle, considérant le fait qu'elle s'identifie elle-même comme une cryptozoologue. Ces derniers ne sont pas pris au sérieux par les scientifiques, qui considèrent que leurs arguments s'appuient sur des faits anecdotiques.
In the scientific society, there is very anti-cryptozoology feeling. It falls under almost the same thing as alien sightings or ghosts. And they find this area being a lost cause.
Si l'énigme Storsie est considérée par les scientifiques comme une cause perdue, c'est sans doute parce que pour chaque personne qui y croit, il y en a autant qui se montrent sceptiques, allant parfois jusqu'à discréditer ouvertement les arguments en faveur de l'existence du monstre.
Both skeptics and professional skeptics, scientists, use the same explanation for every sea monster sighting ever, everywhere on the planet. Great catfish, big log, weather phenomena, birds, swimming elks, but I'm not sure that's very common in other parts of the world.
There are people who don't believe in this, and they don't go to our meetings and listen. And they say it's impossible, and they think we are crazy.
They usually don't call people liars to their face, but behind their back, certainly. Oh, he wants to be in the paper, he said he saw a monster. It's very sad, really.
It angers me that people that have seen this are treated like this. It's like bullies in a schoolyard sort of situation. Mr. Festin's sighting is one of the really good ones, and he's working so hard, and he you know, people like that, you shouldn't belittle them. I think that's disgraceful. But someday, you know, people like him and others that work with this will be vindicated, and, you know, I hope it happens within a few years.
I really don't know why people believe or don't believe, but I think that the people who believe in the monster, the Great Lake monster, they have actually seen something that they can't explain in any other way than that it must be an animal. You can see it in other countries as well. The Great Lake monster has cousins in Scotland, in Norway, in the US, and all over the world. So it's not only in Östersund that we see this kind of animal, so it has to be something that the human being is seeing and trying to explain all over the world.
We discover new animals almost every year, new sharks, new seals. And maybe we have something extraordinary here that one day will just be a complete sensation. And then we will have the scientists coming here. And I'll say, told you so.
Les efforts pour capturer Storsie ou pour tenter de prouver son existence n'ont rien donné jusqu'ici, malgré les moyens les plus sophistiqués utilisés jadis par les plus convaincus. Mais ce n'est pas une raison pour abandonner. Avec le temps, l'intérêt à percer le mystère n'a pas diminué. Seules les méthodes ont changé.
Today we're going to dive for the Storsie in the Great Lake, and we will be going down to about maximum of 18 meters.
Ces plongeurs vont explorer les profondeurs du lac dans l'espoir, non pas de capturer la bête, mais des images de celle-ci, ou des traces qu'elle aurait pu laisser derrière elle. Les habitants d'Östersund, comme les voyageurs de passage, sont ainsi invités à suivre un cours de plongée bien particulier.
So the Great Lake Monster course is designed for 2 days. It's 1 day of theory. The next day is 2 dives that we're gonna look at the monster.
We have this story of the monster, so it's fun to take it and see what you can find.
Pour permettre de maximiser les chances de succès de ces expéditions, les plongées ne se font que sous les conditions climatiques les plus propices et sont effectuées surtout entre l'île de Frösön et la rive d'Östersund. Hans et Linus sont des instructeurs de plongée très expérimentés. Ils ont passé des dizaines d'heures à explorer les profondeurs de nombreux plans d'eau un peu partout dans le monde. Mais selon eux, rien ne se compare à une plongée dans les eaux du lac Storsen.
I've never seen the Great Lake Monster, Storsiodjuret, but sometimes can feel like something is watching us when we do diving. It felt like, who's there?
You can feel in your stomach when you dive that there is something around you, but you can't really make for sure what it is. And the first time I felt that, my pulse went up, and I have to control myself a bit because it was a bit scary. But then I looked up, and I couldn't see anything. It's a bit hard to describe, but I never felt that before anywhere else. It's not every dive that you have the feeling either. It's specific dives, but many of my dives I have felt it. It was not a good Great Lake Monster day today.
This was the second dive in my monster program, and I didn't see anything. I didn't feel anything.
We saw a lot of plants, but no fish. And the monster's primary food is fish, so I don't think it's around here right now. When we dived here last time, it was more summer. So I think it's probably gone deeper now for the winter.
You never know how many dives you have to do. If you're lucky, you can find it, but some must dive a lot of times.
I hope that I one day will spot Storsiodjuret, and I hopefully have my camera with me so that I can show it to the world.
À 1 heure de route au sud de Stersund, dans la ville de Svenstavik, d'autres moyens encore sont pris pour tenter de localiser Storsie.
Today we're going to search for the Great Lake Monster, Storsiodjuret. Beautiful weather, a little bit rough on the sea maybe, but the weather is so good, the condition is perfect for it, so let's go for it.
Suzanne Kinström chasse la créature depuis des années. Elle dirige un centre de recherche sur Storsie. Avec son équipe, elle parcourt le lac en long et en large à la recherche d'indices.
Nu hoppar den där borta i.
En 2008, Suzanne a décidé de se donner les grands moyens.
One of our members saw something in the summer 2007, and that gave us an idea to work with cameras.
We have behind us now the small islet with the cameras. You can see the 4 cameras over the surface, but we have also cameras under the surface. 3 who's searching for the monster in real time, so we can see it from the observation center.
Suzanne a mis sur pied en 2009 un centre d'observation du monstre du Grand Lac, un musée moderne doté d'appareils très sophistiqués.
This is what we call the surveillance station, where we have the live feed cameras. Every time there's a movement, the cameras will register it, and we can go back and watch it and see what it is. This technology is very unique for a museum. It's very easy, like with the touchscreen, you don't have to use any tools. Anyone can use it, from a 70-year-old to a 3-year-old.
Avec son système de surveillance permanent capable de détecter des mouvements à la surface de l'eau, comme dans ses profondeurs, le Great Lake Monster Center est incomparable dans le monde. Certains appareils sont même programmés pour être sensibles à la chaleur.
This is the only center in Sweden as a sort of a museum combined with high technology. That's why we want to have people to come here and be a searcher.
En étant invités à scruter les images captées par les caméras sous-marines, les visiteurs sont mis à contribution dans les efforts de recherche. Ils sont incités à faire part de leurs observations, et celles-ci sont analysées par les chercheurs.
So you don't know when the time comes. but you must have the situation, and now we have it with the cameras.
Des images vidéo observées par les visiteurs peu après l'ouverture du centre ont piqué la curiosité de centaines de milliers d'internautes.
It was in the video, it was a small thing, just like a small worm, but it has an interesting mouth, just an upside-down mouth. It's not a fish, it's not a frog, but it have a very interesting head. When people around the world saw it, it was a big bang for us. And then on 3 days, 500,000 people was just coming in the website. Then we understand that people all around the world are very interested in unknown things.
And someday, because of the new technology, we'll know. But for the moment, it's very difficult, and it's a big lake. The people that are currently doing it are doing it on sort of one location, hoping to find it over there, I guess. But science has a long way to go yet. We need the new technologies here to really find out about this. Get the money to do proper research with sonar equipment and so on a much larger scale. That's the answer.
When you come to Östersund, you will notice the animal on quite a few places. And it's obvious that the municipality of Östersund, they really want to make it the symbol of the city.
Il semble que de pouvoir observer Storsie dans son habitat naturel soit une utopie. Mais il est impossible de le rater dans les rues d'Östersund.
I don't think tourists are attracted to coming here, especially for the monster, but it gives the area a special value, special characteristics that are positive for the region.
Selon plusieurs résidents, Storsie a permis à Östersund de sortir de l'anonymat. Pourtant, certains sont persuadés que la créature pourrait favoriser encore davantage l'économie locale.
The monster is somewhat important to the tourism to Östersund, but it could be more important. I think we are a bit hesitating how much we should use it in the marketing of the region and the city, because on one hand it's a great symbol and we like the story and we think it's special, and on the other hand some people think it's a bit embarrassing. Oh, should we be famous for something that maybe don't exist?
I think it could be much bigger, in fact. I think they have underestimated the potential for tourism and so on. So people know that this is not just an ordinary town, we have something special here.
The Great Lake Monster is an important part of the cultural heritage of Jämtland, and as a curator of the museum and the deputy director, I'm not really interested in whether it exists or not. The important thing to us is the stories that people have to tell, and we are full of respect for all the witnesses and the people that claim that they have seen something, because they have. We absolutely believe that they have seen something, and it's their stories that we collect, and it's their stories that's important to us.
I think the general public is not going to have too much of an interest in this until the day comes when you have the big headlines. They have now conclusive a shot of film or something, or a dead animal. Then it will be a world sensation. Everybody will talk about it. It will be one of the biggest stories of our lives, really. I really hope that in my lifetime we will find out what it is.